Implementing Scrum involves not just the adoption of new business processes or a framework for managing software development, but rather a fundamental transformation of the way work is managed in a company. Authority and ownership change, as does the emphasis from command and control to trust, communication, and collaboration. Scrum involves a new way of thinking, speaking, and working for both managers and workers, based on the 12 Agile principles and 4 Scrum values. We can examine the transition in the main Scrum roles: the product owner, Scrum team, and Scrum Master. The product owner normally comes from product management, marketing, or as a key customer. In these traditional roles, the product owner would be the one badgering the Scrum team to commit to more work than they could accomplish, and constantly adding new requirements, all set to the highest priority. However, in Scrum, the product owner and the team work together to build a high-quality product at a sustainable pace, which includes the customer's highest priority items. This is facilitated by the prioritized product backlog, which is owned by the product owner and can only have one item at the highest priority. The product owner meets with the stakeholders, collecting and prioritizing their requirements and shielding the team from distraction. The Scrum team is different than a normal development team in that it is self-directed and self-organizing. In Scrum, the team has total responsibility for implementing the product, so they are given enhanced authority to complete the work. The Scrum team does not take direction from a manager for the work it is doing, how it is done, or when it will be done. The team determines the level of effort for each task in the sprint, as well as how much work it will take on in each sprint, allowing it to work at a sustainable pace indefinitely. The Scrum team is self-directed, deciding how the work will be distributed among themselves. The Scrum Master is a new servant leader role, critical to the success of the Scrum project, but not given any authority. The Scrum Master owns the Scrum process and ensures it is implemented correctly. They also work with the team, helping them to be productive, facilitating teamwork and removing impediments blocking their progress. However, they cannot direct the team, other than telling them when they are not following the Scrum rules, values, and processes. This leads us to the project managers, who do not have a core Scrum role. They are considered involved, but not committed, like the Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Scrum Team. Though there are still many project manager responsibilities in a Scrum project, directing the development team is no longer one of them. This can cause tension when Scrum is introduced into a typical hierarchical management structure. And it can lead to Scrum Butt, where the Scrum framework is partially implemented, but other Scrum practices are ignored. This can quickly lead to not realizing the promised productivity gains of Scrum at best, or product failure at worst. Many project managers look for a way to transition into one of the main Scrum roles when Scrum is introduced. During transition to Scrum, a number of project managers take on the role of Scrum Master, while retaining their current role as a manager. It is a widely held belief in the Scrum world that a current project manager should not become a Scrum Master, for several reasons. For one, project managers control and manage development teams, while Scrum Masters are servant leaders. They are not in charge, but instead facilitate, empowering the team to become self-directed. A typical project manager who is used to using their authority to make things happen normally has a difficult time transitioning into the servant leader role. Also, if the project manager transitions into the Scrum Master role, everyone in the organization will still perceive them as the boss, in a continuation of their old role. They will ask the new Scrum Master to direct the team as in the past, which would be in opposition with the Scrum Master's role. Another reason this often fails is due to the project manager's workload. The Scrum Master is constantly working with and for the team, facilitating the daily Scrum meeting and working to remove impediments. Most project managers are so busy with their management responsibilities, they don't have time to run or even attend the daily Scrum stand-up. They don't have the capacity to keep up with the team's status or their impediments, keep the team focused, or work to protect the sprint. Project managers can make good product owners. Interfacing with multiple stakeholders to transform a never-ending flow of change requests into a prioritized list is something the project manager can do well, and has most likely been doing in the past. The project manager, as product owner, just needs to understand they can only dictate what is worked in the next sprint. They have no authority to determine the number of items worked in the sprint, the time it will take to complete each task, or how the team creates or works the tasks to complete development of each item. It is a commonly held belief in Scrum that the product owner and Scrum Master must be two different people. Thinking in common hierarchical structures, the two roles would be opposing each other on every issue. The product owner represents business stakeholders who want the most functionality in the product backlog deployed as soon as possible, while the Scrum Master is focused on protecting the team from business pressure, making sure they have time to concentrate on their work, being certain there is nothing standing in their way, and ensuring the product increment is potentially shippable software, fully tested and compliant before being shown to the customer in the sprint review meeting. However, in Scrum, the product owner and Scrum Master have the same goals: to deliver a high-quality product with the highest value to the customer as soon as possible. The Scrum framework creates the environment where this can happen, through collaboration, teamwork, and shared goals.